Story from New York Post. Governor Cuomo, Trump had better have an army to protect him if he comes to NYC. New York Governor Cuomo on Wednesday all but threatened president's safety if he returns to New York City in a rant responding to an executive story by the Post that Trump is looking to pull federal funds from lawless cities, including New York. Damn, bro. Serious? I think these two should box, dude. Cuomo called an emergency press briefing within a half hour on Wednesday night to tear into Trump for the order, which cites New York City's rising murder rate and defunding of NYPD. Quote, he better have an army if he thinks he's going to walk down these streets in New York. New Yorkers don't want to have anything to do with him, the Democrat said, all but threatening the commander-in-chief. I'm going to push back. That's the threat. He's like, oh, you best bring the army coming back, bitch. But Cuomo, who like Trump hails from Queens, wasn't done. He can't have enough bodyguards to walk through New York City. People don't want to have anything to do with him. That's not true. Actually, I looked up the numbers, and it's about 2/3 of the people support Democrats, and then 1/3 of the people support Republicans. It's just a majority of the people. They act like, oh, that's like everybody, right? Because everything's an absolute with these people. It's black and white. Because it's white feminism. They look at everything through your race and your gender and your education level and your background. Whether or not you got any fancy titles from the ivory tower. If anybody's watching this, we should get a petition going on change.org to have Donald Trump box Governor Cuomo. Give me a moment. It's going to be a long night here. We're going to travel the intellectual dark web down into QAnon and the drug cartels and into illegal immigration and Muslims here. Quote, it's more of the same for him. It's a political, it's gratuitous, it is illegal, but it's another attempt to kill New York, Cuomo said. Quote, President Ford said, drop dead. President Trump has been actively trying to kill New York City since he's been elected, he said. This shit's insane, dude. What the hell is he talking about? It's his hometown. These people have been radicalized by the mainstream media. They think they're in an echo chamber. They just like tune out all opposing voices. And then all they hear is this fake news, just nonstop coming at you. Just like, fake news. Fake news. In highly and insulting language, Cuomo speculated that Trump wasn't upset about New York's soaring murder rate and shootings. Quote, I think it's been because he's from New York City and New York City rejected him always, Cuomo said. Quote, he was dismissed as the clown in New York City. Those who know him best like him least. I think that in general in life, the general pattern that I've seen in life is that there's hella backstabbers. If you're around a whole bunch of fake people and you try to impress them, you're just going to end up being a fake person yourself. So every rich person, such as Donald Trump, is going to have X% fake people around him, and then they're going to reveal themselves as the backstabbing scum they are, and they're going to come out in droves. I've seen these. They come out the woodwork. They do. They do. No questions asked. So, what this fake news Governor Cuomo is trying to say is that there's only one tribe here. It's the monoculture heterodoxy group think echo chamber. If you want to get you aren't welcome here, and if you want to come president, you're going to need an army. Cuomo jeered. He was disrespected in New York. Nobody took him seriously. He was just like a tabloid cartoon. End quote. Referring to a claim in a recent book by Fake News Trump's niece, Mary Trump. Cuomo said, quote, his sister, a former federal judge, is disgraced by him. End quote. The governor also claimed Trump's negligence is the reason why New York State suffered the highest COVID death toll. I'm going to push back on him on that. There's definitely some questions as to whether or not any extra people died. I mean, I know, of course, however many people the CDC said tested positive for COVID. Yeah, they probably tested positive for COVID. We can argue about the test accuracy, but in 2017, there was about 2.8 million people who died so far this year. According to the CDC, it's been about 1.8 million people. But we'll get into that here in a little bit. From Fake News Fauci. The governor also claimed, wrong sentence. At the end of his call, Cuomo, apparently sensing how his remarks about Trump could be seen as threatening, attempted to walk them back because he can't back up what he says because he's just saying it because he's mad. Can't control his temper because he doesn't have the temperament to be a governor. Quote, my comment about the president and bodyguards in New York, all I'm saying is that he is persona non grata to New York City. And I think he knows that. And he'll never come back to New York because New Yorkers will never forget how gratuitously mean he was to New Yorkers and how many times he's tried to kill the city that gave him a start and birthed him. That's what I meant. But you better be bodyguards. Sorry, I mean, I meant about the bodyguards. So, I don't know. Do y'all think it was a threat? Comment down below or at realsimplenews.net/issue98 or up on GitHub. Me personally, I don't know what to think. I think this is kind of crazy. I think he's in the fake news echo chamber where he's getting all these spins from the European news sources. He probably thinks Daily Mail is not fake news. Probably thinks it's National Public Radio instead of nonsense private radio. I definitely don't, from my analysis of New York, it doesn't seem like it's, I think if you pushed a little bit harder, you could flip it red. But It's not everybody, but they're just generalizing it. And then who's that mayor that put the black looter mob logo out there? The Bill de Blasio. Yeah, when they put that black looter mob hate symbol out in front of Trump Tower, would it say burn, loot, murder? Or no, it said Black Lives Matter. Yeah, it said Black Lives Matter, the hate symbol that they put out front of Trump's tower. They took the taxpayers' money and they used it to fund a political message saying, we hate Donald Trump because that's what Black Lives Matter means. It's never been about that. When I helped start the 2016 Portland anti-Trump protests, it got taken over by Black Looter Mob. It turned into an Antifa Nazi riot. If you're unfamiliar, most people aren't aware, but the Antifa started fighting vanilla fascists, but Hitler won by a landslide. As it turns out, over 50% of the Nazis were actually communists. They were the Antifa. They liked National Socialism. They just didn't like vanilla fascism. So the story that you have about history isn't very accurate. It's been whitewashed. There's probably some spies that have compromised our education system and rewritten some of our history on Wikipedia and our textbooks. If you have any evidence of that, please contact me. Quote, meanwhile, New York de Blasio, who was twice mentioned by name in Trump's order, had his press secretary, Bill Neidhart, respond, quote, as much of Donald Trump wants New York City to drop dead, we will never let this stand, and quote, Neidhart tweeted, quote, this has nothing to do with law and order. This is racist campaign stunt out of the Oval Office to attack millions of people of color. I'm kind of confused. How is black a color? Can you explain that to me? Black is the absence of color. White is when you mix all the colors together, remember? The white light. So black isn't people of color. White's people of color. And then if you're black, then there's no color in that. You're devoid of color. This doesn't make any sense. I'm included on this people of color, or black people are not included on the people of color. So I think most people would say, all right, maybe this isn't the best word. Maybe we should stop excluding the white man because they showed up in a boat in North America and the Amerindians could not invent the wheel. So they had to walk across the land bridge to follow the animals around in the woods. History is way funner when you tell it the way it actually is. Let's move on to the next article. I have a lot of them to read, so I gotta hurry up.